Hello, Willowbrook family. Today we are reading from Revelation chapter 16. This is a very difficult chapter to read because it's so horrific. First, I want to remind you believers that fortunately you won't be on the earth when the seven bowls of wrath are poured out from God. Most scholars believe that these punishments will happen at the end of the 7 year tribulation period. One thing you'll notice about these seven bowls of wrath is that sometimes you will see some similarities with Israel's exodus from Egypt in the Old Testament. God doesn't pick these seven terrible punishments out of thin air. There is a specific reason for each one. The first angel pours out the bowl of horrible and malignant sores. With this first bowl, those who worshiped the beast, which is the Antichrist, and received his mark are now marked with malignant sores. This is much like the plague of sores God sent to Pharaoh and the Egyptians. The second angel pours out his bowl into the sea, and the sea becomes like the blood of a dead person. Back in Revelation 8, it described a partial contamination of the seas. Here, the contamination is made complete. Every living creature in the sea dies. The third angel pours his bowl into the rivers and springs of water, and they become like blood. Again, a complete contamination of fresh water. You know, when these judgments come, the time must be very short until the return of Jesus as king. One scholar notes that this punishment is for those who were thirsty for the blood of the saints of God and massacred them. And now they have got blood to drink. These murderers deserved their righteous punishment. Again, God is not picking these punishments at random. The fourth angel pours out his bowl upon the sun, and it scorches those on the earth. Now, normally a sunny day is a good thing, but not this. This is very painful. What's interesting about this particular bowl is that the people experiencing all of this never repent. In fact, they curse God. One scholar says, those who are not won by grace are never won. The fifth angel pours out his bowl, and the earth is cast into darkness, much like the ninth plague on Egypt in Exodus. It tells us that this darkness could not only be seen, but also felt. The people will chew on their tongues in pain. And even with all these punishments, the people still will not repent. The sixth angel pours out his bowl on the great river, the Euphrates. In the days of John, the river was about 1,800 miles long and anywhere from 300 to 1,200 yards wide. When the river is dried up, it makes a giant road, and massive armies from the east could move westward toward Israel with ease. These armies are ultimately coming to do battle against God and his Messiah, Jesus. The sixth bowl sets up Armageddon. This is one of three battles mentioned in prophecy. John now tells us that out of the mouth of the dragon, who is the devil, and of the beast, who is the Antichrist, and of the false prophet, come three unclean spirits like frogs. The ancient Jewish people regarded frogs as unclean and repulsive. These demons are all repulsive liars. They perform signs and wonders, all to deceive in the worst way. God says, "Behold, I am coming like a thief." In the midst of these horrific punishments and the battle to come, God is warning to be prepared. Jesus' victory is guaranteed. Then the seventh angel pours out the final bowl into the air. The fact that the bowl is poured into the air may show judgment against the prince of the power of the air, which is found in Ephesians chapter 2. And God's loud voice comes from the temple and says, "It is done." There will be no more delay. The people have not repented. In mercy, God has stretched out this scene as much as he could. First there were the seals, then there were the trumpets, and now the bowls. And after this, there will be no more judgments upon the earth, no more opportunities for mercy. In these final judgments, God will shake the earth violently. The great city of Babylon, newly restored from ancient times, will now receive the most fierce cup of the wrath from God. Babylon will split into 3 pieces, and huge hailstones weighing 100 pounds each will bombard the evil city. And with this scene of horrible destruction, chapter 16 concludes. Whew, I'll be honest with you. I'm ready for this chapter to be over. One thing I noticed is that God is doing a lot of pouring. In chapter 16, it's his judgment. But the great thing is, judgment and wrath are not the only thing that God pours out. He also pours out his blessing and his love. He anoints us by pouring soothing oil upon our heads. And most importantly, he poured out his blood on the cross so we would never have to face these judgments. If you're on time with your reading, today is Christmas Eve. And as we are mindful of the power and the fear of the Lord, let us also remember the grace he has poured out on us through a little child wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in the manger. Willowbrook, have a great day of comfort and joy in the grace of our God.